All right. At this point, we can go back to this spreadsheet and just illustrate some computations, starting from July 1992. So time is running in the right direction. So we have the earliest dates, and the dates are going down. Here's our adjusted closing prices. And so highlighted in blue, so this is our input data. Everything in tan is based on a formula. So the simple rate of return is just the percentage change in price. It's just this minus this divided by that, right? So we can take our simple return here, and then you can just copy this formula and paste it all the way down and then get the rates of return going down. Now, this is based on actual data. And so one of the things is to look at these monthly returns on Starbucks. Here you lost 6% in a month. The next month you made 21%. Then you lost 2.6%. Then you made 28%. Then you lost 2%, and so on. So these numbers are bouncing around quite a lot. So then this is the volatility of the rates of return. So the return is definitely not constant over time. Right? The return is moving around. That's representing the risk in the investment. If you invested this month, you lost. If you invested this month, you gained. And then similarly, if we do the 2-month rate of return, so this is just the percentage change in the price over 2-month periods. So investing from July to September, you got 13.9%. And then investing from August to October, you got 18.7%. And then investing, and so on and so forth. So you see these 2-month rates of return are generally, they're a bit larger than the 1-month rates of return, but also these things are bouncing around a lot. In this column here, I have log prices. So I just take the natural logarithm of the price using the ln function in Excel. So one of the things in Excel, so if you don't know what a function is, this is just to illustrate some of the useful tricks. So if you just hit equal, say I'm going to enter a formula in this cell, notice that up here we have the formula bar. And there's a little FX button here for function. If you click on that, then you get like a little dialog box that says, okay, I want to use some kind of function. Now it has a selection of categories. So say if you want to figure out, what is the logarithmic function, or what kinds of functions can we look at, then you can say, let's look at math and trig functions, and you can see here all the math and trig functions, and then you can see ln, and it says, returns the natural logarithm. And then if you want to get more detail of what this function is doing, you can click help on a function. It brings up the Excel help. And you should be connected to the internet, depending upon the version of Microsoft that you have. And it gives you more information about what that function is doing. So Excel has a huge amount of built-in functions for doing all sorts of things. And sometimes the biggest headache is just figuring out what is the appropriate function to do. So we can get log prices. And then the continuously compounded return, we can compute as, here I've computed as the logarithm of 1 plus the simple return. So the continuously compounded return is the logarithm of 1 plus this number. Okay? So notice here, the continuously compounded return is a smaller number. It's a larger negative number than the simple return. And when the return is positive, the continuously compounded return is closer to 0. Okay? And notice that when returns are small, the continuously compounded return and the simple return are essentially the same. But when returns are big, the simple return can be a bit different than the continuously compounded return. Again, that's the Taylor series approximation is good here, and it's less good here. Okay? So again, you can sort of see that. The 2-period return and then the 2-period continuously compounded return. So here I've computed the continuously compounded return as the logarithm of the ratio of the price instead of the logarithm of 1 plus the 2-period return. But I would get the same result. And so this number here is this number minus that number, or the logarithm of this number divided by the logarithm of the ratio of these two numbers. Now, plotting data in Excel, suppose I wanted to plot the log price. So there are these tricks in Excel about highlighting things. And so I can just go down and drag, but if I click in the top cell and hit Control-Shift-Down arrow all at once, then I'll highlight everything that's in that cell. Once you've highlighted stuff, I can go to, say, Insert, and then, say, create a line graph, and then click on this. And then here's the log price in a graph that's done very quickly like this. Now notice that the dates aren't on the axis here, so if I want to add the dates, I can right-click on the chart, I can choose Select Data, and essentially what I want to do is to put a horizontal axis. And so I can click Edit, and then I put the dates here. And then click OK. And then we see now the dates are added to the axis. I can get rid of the legend. And then here we have a nice graph of log prices. So Excel is a nice tool for doing very quick, rough and ready kinds of things. It's particularly very nice to do quick graphics once you have data in your spreadsheet and so on.